Yes, the white and the tan is looking very. Mind you, white makes anything look sort of tan, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Are you
So
calling me fake?
I wasn't saying it was a fake tan. You've just told everybody that. fake fake is safe though, isn't it? Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
God, sorry.
Fake tan, fake tan and SPF is the way forward. Um, yeah. When I was little, this shows how long ago it was. We used to go to Yugoslavia, which is obviously now not even a country. And my grandma and my mum was only ever so slightly bothered, but my grandma would be like, "Are you putting sun cream on the kids, mom?" And my grandma would rub oil into our skin, not even.
Oil.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and yeah, like when I look back, it's amazing that I'm not more with it because we were just literally. And my grandma used to go, "But you've got brown eyes. You need the sun, DNA wise. You need the sun. You need the sun." Um, and I've got a massive chunk out of my back because I went to see a dermatologist for something else. I never used to talk about this, but I talk about male health now, so I'm not. I always think it's good to talk about. I basically went to see a dermatologist for this like urethra thing. And he said, "This is so shameful." This guy was like, "Oh, if you could just get undressed," because it's just to basically check that that was all okay. And it was, but he said, "Could you get undressed?" So it was a really summer's day. This was like a hospital in South London, and I just took everything off because I thought, well, if I'm taking shorts and undies off, and I just took my vest off, and he came in and he seemed to find this really funny. He went, "I only met the bottom half," and I was like, "Mate, if your bits
If
are
you're
out,
checking that, you might as well see
you might as well."
this.
So as I turned round, I just literally like randomly went to turn around like that, and he went, "Whoa, whoa, 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 come back, come back, come back, come back." It wasn't even planned, and he just went, "That's not good." And he said, "Do you know you've got a mole on your back?" And I famously used to have nothing on my back. Like even as a teenager, if I ever got like a breakout here, I've never had back knee in my life. And I went, "No, no, no, I've not got any moles on my back." He went, "You totally have." And yeah, and it was cancer.
No
Yeah, I
way.
know, and it's right in the middle. And when the dermatologist did it, she was the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in your life. Her skin was almost purple. She was
Oh,
so dark. She had the most absolutely like flawless, like purple black skin. So you just felt naturally like hideous next to her skin
oh,
anyway. And
obviously.
and she was like, "Oh, I'm so mark your back," and it's now like I don't know if you can see. It's like a big hole in the middle of my back. But what I tell everybody is uh and my 8 year old tells everybody um that it's where my devil wings were cut, when my angel. So she tells everybody, when Lucifer fell from
Yeah.
from heaven in the war in heaven and loses his wings. She tells everybody it's where I lost my wings. So it's like I've got like a massive like hole in the back and stuff.
Wow.
But and then they wanted to take some of my fat to fill it in with. They were like, "Oh, we'll do like a fat thing," and I went, "Why? Who cares? Like scars are cool." And they were like, "Oh, we're going to use like some filler, like the filler that you do,
Like filler.
like filler." And I went, "Oh, come on, like
Just leave it.
bodies are beautiful, and I don't need that." Do you know what I mean and stuff? And but they actually were like, "No, we thought it might bother you lying down. Like we thought that's why you'd need to flatten it off." Do you know what I mean and stuff? So anyway, this is
Like you'd feel like this.
yeah, no, it's like you probably could like hang on. Can you see in the middle of the back? It's like a hole. Can you see?
I can a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. But in not real life, there's like a chunk. But I'm just not bothered. I just couldn't care less. But they, like after class and stuff, I'll take my top off. But I'm just like bodies are
And
imperfect
there
and
are signs of what you go through as well in your life. If you cover it all
yeah,
up, then
yeah, completely. And yeah, bodies are imperfect, and that's cool. And I've done my being 28 and looking like a plastic Ken doll. I don't need to do it anymore. So yeah, but in other words, all of this is to say I'm now really the king of SPF. Like, so
always, yeah. Even my
always,
moisturizer
always,
has
always.
SPF in.
Yes, exactly. But we all look better with a bit of a tan. I'm sorry. Sorry, it's like
We
so.
do look better with it, and it slows down the process. There was a girl who got burnt a week ago, like burnt to a crisp, but she's a lovely bronzed colour now.
It is. It's so shameful, and it's bad. But it does look But I also, it's really weird in other people. I know it's like some genetic thing because it's not like I'm going to be having a child with a man. But I find men, I really light pinky skin. Like I don't find tan attractive. I love like this.
Really?
Yeah, if somebody's almost like white to the point of getting a bit pinky, almost a bit pinky glowy, I find that
Like
so cute.
rosy.
Oh my god, I find that so cute. Whereas like dark and tan, because if you left me out without sun cream in the sun for like 2 hours, I would be so dark. So anyway, we are what we all are. And my friend who's a geneticist was like, that's your darker eye genes wanting to spread your DNA, because apparently if you have kids with people that are different from you genetically, the likelihood of having children with the same chromosomal problems is a lot less. So
Huh.
as in not being horrible, when cousins marry, you get like problem children. Yeah, and she was like, oh, it's just your biological urge to kind of be with, you're tall, you want somebody short, or you're dark, you want somebody a little bit blonde, or you're fair or whatever. And I was like, I don't quite think my genes are gonna blend with the chap, but never mind. Right,
Never know.
let's do some French. So basically today we're talking about the subjunctive. Okay, so
Okay.
subjunctive 100%. Here are some facts about the subjunctive. Everybody shits their load about it. They all panic. Everybody knows some form of subjunctive from school exam French, because it's what teachers normally give you a couple just to churn out for an exam. Yeah. Everybody, then people think, oh, I can get away with it. And it really is so lazy to try and get away with it. It's such a common part of Latin languages, It's a little bit more complicated than the Spanish one, which just swaps beautifully, as you will know, from AR into ER and all of this business, So like, but a lot of the rules are the same. So let's get going. So firstly, subjunctive is the junction between two clauses in a sentence. So normally, although not entirely, normally it means we can have a first clause and a second clause, which means person one doing their verb, in the middle, person two or thing two doing their verb. So would you just say for me, person one, would you just say person one, verb one, person two, verb two, person one, verb one, person two, verb two. Just say that.
Person one, verb one, person two, verb two.
Good. Now that isn't to say that every time we have person one, verb one, that side on the right is going to be subjunctive. So for example, if I say, I think that Brooklyn is beautiful, je pense que Brooklyn est belle. That is a normal sentence, and the clause on the right is normal. I know that Gaëtan is whatever, happy, whatever, je sais que, normal. Other languages have a lot more than French. Italian, for example, every single time you say, I think that, the act of thinking is going to make the thing on the right congiuntivo, which is like subjunctive in Italian. French is kind of okay. So say this for me, 2 patterns, and that's all it's going to be, and they're just going to repeat. Please say for me, want, need, doubt, fear, impersonal, emotional. Want, need, doubt, fear, impersonal, emotional. You'll notice that the last 2 are ul and ul. So want, need, doubt, fear, impersonal, emotional.
Want, need, doubt, fear, impersonal, emotional.
Great. Spot on. Do it again.
Want, need, doubt, fear, impersonal, emotional.
Good. So there are times when it won't be those, definitely, but those are going to get 90% of your subjunctives covered for the moment. So what we mean is, in the left-hand side, in the left-hand column, as in person one and verb one, we need evidence of a want, which is I want that you do something. Yeah. A need, I need that you do something. A doubt, I don't think that you're doing something. A fear, which is a little bit redundant because an emotion is fear anyway. A neutral sentence would be it's. So if I said Brooklyn dances, who's doing the verb?
Me, Brooklyn.
If I said Luke walks, who's doing the verb?
Luke.
With some difficulty, but yes. And if I said it is fabulous, who's doing the verb?
The it.
Which is a neutral or an impersonal sentence. So
Okay.
if you have a neutral or an impersonal sentence, it is great that. The one on the right will be subjunctive for 90% of the time. If it's something like it's certain that, it's sure that, it's definite that, then we don't bother. But if it's something like subjective, like it's great that, it's useful that, it's fabulous that Brooklyn has a job, the French on the right will not be Brooklyn has a job in the normal way. It will be the subjunctive verb. Okay? So an emotional sentence would be, I am happy that Brooklyn has a job, or it makes me happy. So in the sentence, I am happy, who's doing the verb?
I.
Good man. In the sentence, it makes me happy, what's doing the verb?
It.
So we don't care whether it's I am happy that or it makes me happy that. We're talking about my emotions. We're talking about my emotions. And emotional comments are going to get after the are going to get you the subjunctive on the right. Now, let's be very, very clear. Some schoolboy, schoolgirl French goes, oh, the subjunctive is an opinion, which is a stupid thing to say, because what's the first verb you express an opinion with? I think. Spot on. That is not subjunctive. Yeah. So you say to the chap, do you think this is a good idea? There are times when think can be subjunctive. We'll do this in a few minutes, but it's like if it's negative or if it's an inversion, like do you think that? But basically your standard expression, I think that, is going to be normal. All right. So first things first, let's go through some sentences in English, and I want you to rearrange them into the subjunctive style sentence. Now you'll be used to doing this from Spanish. So in other words, if I say I want Brooklyn to come to the party, you'd have to, so what have we literally got in English? I want, so person one and verb one. Brooklyn, we go straight into the subject. Infinitive to come. I want him, so we're not even saying he eats, like I want him, so we're using the object form him to eat. I want whatever Phil to have lots of classes and be happy. I want Simon to get the job that he wants in the West End. I want Lavinia to find the right course of action for whatever she wants to do. So it's like we use that in English, and in French everybody gets their own verb. So if you say to your boyfriend, I want you to come and pick me up, whatever, it's going to be I want that you come. All right. So I'm going to say some sentences and you're going to say them back to me just in English, rearranging it like that. Okay. I want them to eat will be
I want that they eat.
Flawless. Notice you flawlessly changed them to they. It still needs to be the normal person doing the verb. Spot on. I want him to be happy.
I want that he is happy.
We don't even need to do any more. You've got it. You've got the point. Lovely. So, final thing to think of before we get going is to think that the subjunctive is not a different tense. It's a different mood. Yes, strictly, it's a different mood. Every other tense you've learnt up till now is in the indicative mood, which basically means it's indicating effectively what is going on. So one of the more subtle things you'll develop with the subjunctive is when you're not actually stating something. So if you said something like, I don't, so you might like to think of, this isn't going to work for everything, but you might like to think of the indicative as a thumbs up and a green light. Brooklyn is happy. Your main point of the sentence there is to tell me that Brooklyn is happy. That's the main point of the sentence, right? Brooklyn is happy. If you said, oh, I don't think that Brooklyn is happy, I can't use the indicating mood because that's not the purpose of the sentence, to indicate that. So Brooklyn is late. Definitely, Brooklyn is late. I am scared. Brooklyn is late. I'm not using the sentence to indicate that Brooklyn is late.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, the mood would be wrong. It's he is a teacher. Yep, information. He is a teacher. Yep. People, it's weird when people find out what I do for a job. It's weird. He is a teacher. I'm not using that sentence to convey fully the fact that he's a teacher. So that's another little idea that you might like to go with. Right, let's start learning it conjugation-wise. It's so easy with the ER verbs, with the A verbs, because the only two that we are going to change, despite everything we've just spoken about, is nous and vous. And all we're going to do is go to ion and ea that you know from the imperfect. So your normal so if you've got like, hablo, hablas, habla, hablamos, hablas, hablas, and then you go to, hable, hables, hable, in Spanish you'll do an ER, AR swap. We don't even do that. So just for your main verb, you're going to go que je mange, que tu manges, qu'il mange, que nous mangions, yeah, que vous mangiez, the double, qu'il mange. So you literally, for the main group of verbs in French, just ramming an E up the ass. So you wouldn't even know you're in the subjunctive. So how would you say, so which of my reasons would it be if I said I am happy that? Is it want, need, doubt, fear, and personal or emotional?
Emotional.
Great. So if I said I am happy that we are speaking, whatever, we could say we are speaking to each other. We could use this from last time, yeah?
The new.
Fuck yeah. So I am I am happy that so what normally is we are speaking, nous parlons, normally would be nous parlons.
Nous parlons.
Lovely. Nice, small consonant. And what would be subjunctive then? I'm happy that we're speaking together. So je suis content or je suis heureux que nous parlions.
Nous parlions.
That's all it is. That's literally all it is.
Que nous parlions.
It's weird that you are eating with him. It's weird that you are eating with him. And can you make you, vous? Yeah, it's weird. So which of my reasons is that going to be? Want, need, doubt, fear, impersonal, or emotional?
Emotional?
It feels that way, doesn't it? But it's impersonal, isn't it? Yeah? But I don't care.
It is weird. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. It's not everything with the it, but stuff that's not definite. So we used to say something like a 70% rule. So weirdly, it's probable that Brooklyn's coming would be normal. It's possible that Brooklyn's coming would be subjunctive. So it's kind of like probable's a bit more, it's likely. Possible's a bit like, fine, you learn the examples. But yeah, so off you go. So say for me, it's weird, which would be bizarre. It's weird that you're eating with him. It's weird that you're eating with him.
C'est bizarre que vous mangiez avec elle.
Don't be Spanish. With him, avec lui.
Avec lui.
Good. Remember, nice accent on the diphthong. Lui. Remember, lui in the middle.
Spanish, wasn't it? Completely Spanish.
Lui, no, because everybody uses L because you think of like L, like in Spanish. Lui in the middle is blue and pink. Lui at the end is blue. Do you remember that? So I speak to him, je lui parle. So lui in the middle is the indirect pronoun. And lui to him, or just him indirectly, or her indirectly. And lui at the end of the sentence, avec lui, normally obviously after a good preposition, avec lui, pour lui, will be blue. Good. Right. That's it for A verbs.
Okay.
Let's move on to our next category of verb. And as you know, our two main verb types, which is the slogan for present tense, is A or so.
Soft hard.
Spot on. Everybody's hard. Snigger, snigger, snigger. Yeah, everybody's hard. Yeah, like a class full of 14-year-old boys. It's like basically. I went to a school that was all boys until sixth form, and then there was a nearby girls' school, and it was just a shag fest. It really, really was. I don't know one lad that went to that school that didn't lose their virginity to a girl from the other school.
Oh,
it's just shocking.
It's because it's like the forbidden thing, isn't
it?
Yeah,
completely. Them, yes, it was completely. Yeah, completely. Yeah, completely. Yeah, completely. Yeah. I was far too young. I mean, I obviously made a very different life star choice afterwards. But God, I was like 14 or something ridiculous. It's like, oh my God. Yeah, boys' schools. It's just keep up, isn't it? It's like you just got to keep.
Yeah, because then it's like competition. Everyone else is
Oh my
doing
God,
it.
it's so toxic. And it's like I was confident enough to be like, oh, Luke's off to do his ballet, and Luke's going down to London to do some dance thing. Fine. But because I was funny and because I was also good at sport, I was okay. But I was also like the one that I just wander and whatever, just be reading my books in the trees and all of this stuff. It's just so you had to be part of that thing. It's so toxic. Good. So if I now said everybody's hard, listen to how this would then work. So say I said the verb was sortir. Normally with sortir, what's I go out? The soft. Je
sors.
Nice accent. Super soft mouth. Gorgeous. All I'd say is make sure we get the twang in, je sors, so that it's going to come across the room, so that your mother-in-law can hear it. Yeah. She's alive and kicking, yeah?
She is, yeah.
Yeah, I just have to check, because imagine if he'd lost his mummy and I was kept saying your mum-in-law, it'd be awful. Good. So basically, what is the hard of sortir then? So up until now, we've known it as the they verb. So what's the hard of sortir? Il.
Il.
So think about it, we're going to find the hard of the word. So sortir, so what's the hard? Il
sort.
That's it. So to remind you, soft, hard. Je sors, tu sors, il sort, nous sortons, vous sortez, il sort. Yeah? So that was our classic soft hard, which is often forgotten because we learn the irregulars more, like prendre verbs, prend, prenez, prenne, and snake verbs, and weird and easy. We kind of often get a bit lost on the irregular soft hard, but remember our basic pattern is up until the bang, so je dors, tu dors, il dort, nous dormons, vous dormez, il dorme. That's our basic soft hard pattern. So a hard pattern, because everybody's going to go hard for the subjunctive, is que je dorme, que tu dormes, qu'il dorme, que nous dormions. Guess what we borrowed again? Que vous dormiez, qu'il dorme. So the they one is going to sound identical. So if I gave you, for example, vendre, to sell, could you just say for me the normal soft, hard? If you could just say that for me, please.
Je vends, tu vends, il vend, nous vendons, vous vendez, ils vendent.
Good. You are getting a really good head twang. It's really nice. Make sure you, at all times, don't let the success of one twang pull you away from the other twang. So what you've got to enjoy, the mouth doesn't work quickly in French, but the mobility, the quick feet is between the vowels. So like, the kind of like that up and down motion in the body. So if you kind of think here, the mouth isn't doing that much. But if you go back about 5 centimeters to here, that vibration from here to here to here, that's very mobile. Oui, alors je vends. Okay. So in the same one syllable to the next, and you've got that slide between the two. That's nice. And they've both got to be as potent twang-wise. Yeah, it can't be je vends. Yeah, it's got to be je vends. Yeah, oui, alors je vends. Yeah, they've all got to be as potent twang-wise. Good. So in other words, vend, vendons, vendez, vende. Great. Now, can I go hard, ion, hard, ea, hard? What would that be, please?
Je vends, tu vends, ils vendent, nous vendions,
gorgeous,
vous vendiez, ils vendent.
That's it. That is it. Anything that you've done like soft, hard, irregulars, then it's going to be really, really easy. You're going to effectively go to the they form. So, ils finissent. Yeah. Que je finisse, finissions, finissiez, finissent. So what was they drive? The verb is conduire. So what is I drive? The soft. Je
conduis.
Nice. Conduit. What is they drive? Hard. Ils
conduisent.
Lovely. That will give you your base. Can you now go nya, 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 nya? Could you say for me, that was beautiful. What a lovely face, Lou. What an attractive man you are. So can you now go,
je conduise, tu conduises, ils conduisent, nous conduisions, Vous conduisiez, ils conduisent.
Good. It's nous conduisions. Don't put stress on it. So nous conduisions, throw it away. Yeah, good.
Nous
So that
conduisions,
would be
vous
something like,
conduisiez.
he wants me to drive. Pardon me interrupting you. He wants me to drive. Il veut que je conduise. Yeah, il veut que je conduise. That would be like a want. I'm scared that he's driving. J'ai peur qu'il conduise. You know, I don't think he's driving. Je pense pas qu'il conduise. Doubt. Yeah, je doute qu'il conduise. It's interesting that he's driving because he hasn't got a fucking license. C'est intéressant qu'il conduise. Which would take us back to I'm scared he's driving. I'm thrilled he's driving because I don't like him and he's going to go off a cliff. Je suis ravi qu'il conduise. So all of those situations would make that the subjunctive. Great. So in other words, our second category then is soft hard, classic, soft hard, irregular grouping. So ils prennent, they take. So he wants me to take the bus. Il veut que je prenne, que tu prennes, prenne. You know.
Prenions.
Preniez, prenne.
Preniez.
That's it. Yeah. Lovely. Now, we obviously have irregulars the same as we have irregulars with other things, but the irregulars here are very, very nice. Next up, apart from 3/4 verbs, because one of them is odd, you only use it for certain situations. In Spanish, the imperative will love the subjunctive. So, for example, if you've got the verb, you know, hablar, and you said speak, you know, and you're speaking to somebody that you know, tratar de tú, you'd say like habla, you know. If you're speaking to like un usted, it'd be hable, wouldn't it? The command form would do that swap. We would use that. And again, for like if it was habla, like to the vosotros, or it would be like, you know, hablen, you'd use the subjunctive for the imperative. Christ, there's so many forms of you in Spanish, isn't there? Aren't there? You'd use that subjunctive for the command form. There are only 3/4 verbs where you use the subjunctive in the command form in French. The rest of the time, we're not doing this today, but your command form is just the normal verb. Take the S off spelling wise sometimes. So, for example, if you say you eat, what's you eat? Tu
manges.
So eat is mange. If I said you plural eat, what's you plural eat? Vous
mangez.
Lovely. So the command form would be manger. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll do imperatives because you have to learn the word order, because you have to. So, for example, if you said do it, fais-le, you put the pronoun at the end. If you said don't do it, ne le fais pas. You're allowed to keep the pronoun where it was, basically. So, yeah, you must always start a command form with either the word ne or the verb. You must always start a command form with the word ne or a verb. So if I said, for example, give me, because you're starting with give, you can't say me donne, you'd have to say donne. And therefore, because me moves to the end, that's where that becomes donne-moi. Do you see what I'm saying? So don't worry about the command forms as a whole. Is that your chappy?
Yeah, he's there. Gaëtan.
Il n'a rien à foutre. Il veut venir me dire bonjour, non?
No, he can't hear you either.
Can you hear me or not?
No. Do you want him to hear you?
Good. Okay, lovely. So I'm liking his grey. He looks cool in the grey. Grey's obviously the in colour for today. Yeah, we're
French.
It's a happy bit of weather, so we're wearing grey. So if I said then that we're going to look at the irregulars, the first irregular we're going to look at is the verb to be. So which two letters were the verb to be in? It was S and E, wasn't it? Je suis, tu es, il est, nous sommes, vous êtes, ils sont. Agreed?
Yes.
And then when we went into the was, it was était, which is letter E. And then when we went into the will, it would be serait, sera, it was letter S. We're going to do another one with the letter S. So would you just say for me the verb to see? Would you just say voir? Would you just say vois, vois, vois? Voyons, voyez, voir. With the letter Y. Vois, 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 voyons, voyez, voir. Off you go.
Vois, 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 voyons, voyez, voir.
You really make me happy. You say shit like you've been saying it for a long time. And what's really moving is you'll be saying it in the future. It really, really is motivating. Good. So can you take the v and can you swap that bitch up for a s? So if I had vois, 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 voyons, voyez, voir, could you just repeat those 6, swapping the v consonant for a s consonant? Off you go.
What was the
so
verb
what
way?
is voir gonna be?
Voir.
Voir. Voir. If you You don't need lip filler. You just need to speak French. Look out! Look what it does. It's I'm like an Instagram babe of 27. Do you know what I mean? So if I've got voix and I got rid of the consonant and I swapped it for a s, what sound am I going to have?
Soit.
Spot on. So remembering that we need twang. So don't keep it at the back of the throat. Send it forward. Could you go soit, 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 soyons, soyez, soit, all the way down.
Soit, 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 soyons, soyez, soit.
That's it. Always send it forward. Don't go soit, soit, soit. Yeah, good. Lovely. You weren't, but I'm just saying, just avoid the tendency. Always send it forward. So that is the subjunctive of the verb to be. So say for me, Luke is in London. Normal French, can you just please say for me, Luke is in London?
Luc est dans Londres.
À Londres. Yeah.
Luc est à Londres.
Yeah, so I know with your N and all that shit in Spanish, it gets really annoying. 3 things on prepositions for places. Rule number 1, a video's just gone up on that literally 2 days ago. So that's
good.
really useful. Rule number 2,
Okay.
It's the same preposition with places to go to it as to be in it. Yeah, that would be the same for towns, countries, provinces, states. It's the same preposition to go there as to be there. So cities are à, countries are predominantly either en for feminine or au for masculine or au for plural. So en Angleterre, au Japon or Canada. The video explains which ones are feminine and which ones are masculine. Largely, if it ends in the letter E as a country, it will be en. So en Espagne, letter E. En France, au Canada, au Maroc, or whatever. And then states and counties have got their, or provinces, or departments in French have got their own kind of thing. So basically, cities though is à. So just say for me in Paris, à Paris.
À Paris.
So just say for me, je vais à Paris.
Je vais à.
Yeah,
je vais à Paris.
No, that was good, but then you started moving the mouth too much. Just say je vais à Paris.
Je vais à Paris.
That's it. Remember, don't let anything sit here. Don't go. Remember to let the vibration move up and down, but keep your mouth soft. Je vais à Paris.
Je vais à Paris.
Lovely. Now say for me, j'habite à Paris. I live it. So I'm going to Paris. I live in Paris. The same preposition for both. Give me, I live in Paris.
Okay. J'habite à Paris.
Lovely. Now say for me, I live in London. Londres. Say for me, I live in London.
J'habite à Londres.
Lovely. Could you now say Luke lives in London?
Luc habite à Londres.
Could you say for me, Luke is in London? Normal Luke is.
Luc est à Londres.
Good. Some linkers would say Luc est à Londres. Others would just say Luc est à Londres. That's fine, all right? So if I now said to you, I am happy that Luke is in London, yeah? Why is that going to be subjunctive? Which reason?
Because you're happy, emotional.
And you know it, clap your hands. Exactly. I'm such a bloody door. So basically, would you? So instead of being je suis heureux, whatever, je suis content, que Luc est à Londres, what was that subjunctive of the verb to be? Que Luc soit. But it is like, remember, because it's going to sound like voir, isn't it? Yeah. So soit. Like moi. Moi, soit. Yeah?
Okay, soit.
Yeah. Soit, S-O-I, as opposed to M-O-I, is actually like self. Like moi is me, myself. Toi. Soit is like the impersonal him or her self. But we don't use it as often as with him, with her. Yeah. I'd be interested if it starts doing the rounds more, because we're trying to find, as in Spanish, a way to represent people that want to be gender non-binary, which is quite difficult with Latin languages, as you know, because adjectives generally run into male or female endings. So it'd be interested if it kind of, came back in that regard. But yeah, it's a little bit more formal, but it basically means with oneself, avec soi. Yeah.
Oneself. So
yeah, but S-O-I-S, S-O-I-S, S-O-I-T, don't worry about the spelling for now, it's the subjunctive. So do me another one. I am happy. No, I am sad that Brooklyn is sad. Let's just use a different word than sad. So, happy. So let's say triste, okay?
Triste.
So I am sad that Brooklyn is sad. How would you say I am sad that Brooklyn is sad?
Je suis triste que Brooklyn soit triste.
Lovely. All right, good. What is I have. And don't obviously forget soyons and soyez. Now, you might go, hang on, Luke, your two little fingers up until now have been going ching, 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 like little pistons. Up until now, every time we've had a we and a you, we've had eon and ea, haven't we? And we had it on the normal ones, so mange, 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 mangez, manger. And we had it on the soft, hard ones, so, you know, soft, 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 sortiant, soft. Yeah, but with the king and the queen of verbs, have and be, there's no eon. It's just soit, soyons, soyez. It's enough of a change. It's like,
yeah, it's a
all
big
hail
old
the
change.
queen. Say for me, I have, please. I have.
J'ai.
Gorgeous. Listen to the verb to have in the subjunctive. J'ai, tu es, il est, nous ayons, vous ayez, ils aient. Every single one of them is you're going to hear this a sound. All right? Would you just do that back to me? J'ai, tu es, ayons, vous ayez, ils aient. Back at me.
J'ai, tu es, il est.
It's like tu es, tu es.
Tu es,
yep.
Tu es, il est, nous ayons, vous ayez.
That's it. Well done. It's another normal one. It's the king and the queen. Yeah, ils aient.
Ils
yep. So if I said Luke has a dog, Luke a un chien, Luke a un chien. Bless you. À tes souhaits, to your wishes, as we say. À tes souhaits. So if I said, I am, you know, it's weird that Luke has a dog. It's weird that Luke has a dog. Notice you can say c'est bizarre que or il est bizarre que. There's an argument on either side, but for the moment, you know, let's just go with c'est bizarre because it's easy for you. So say for me, c'est bizarre, but you can use il est bizarre que, and sometimes it's more correct. So could you say for me, it's weird that Luke has a dog. So your subjunctive sound of has is like I have, the letter A.
Okay.
Off you go. It's weird that Luke has a dog.
Il est bizarre que Luc ait une chien.
Un chien, yeah.
Un chien.
Yeah, or c'est bizarre que Luc ait un chien. Now, the spelling of the subjunctive is A, I, E. I don't need you to remember this. I just need you to note what I'm saying about how it's going to be similar to another verb. So it's A-I-E, A-I-E-S, A-I-T, A-Y-N-S, A-Y-E-Z, A-I-E-N-T. So you've got a lot of A-I. God, I'm exhausted. After A, and the spelling of the subjunctive to go, the subjunctive to go is I. Like an I. And that is spelt like the word Versailles, like the palace. Yeah, okay. A-I-double-L. And the minute people start reading in French, they see this A-I and maybe an E and maybe an S. And so they start confusing the two. Do not confuse. Go in the subjunctive is I. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And a way to remember it is, what was your future, your irregular future for go? Ir. Did you remember like ir, like in Spanish, to go? So he will go, il ira. You get the ear link, yeah? So just think eyes and ears for the verb to go. So he will go, il ira. I'm happy that he's going. Je suis content qu'il aille. Yeah? Okay. So don't, when you start reading French, which we will do once we get to conversation week, don't confuse those two. So what is your subjunctive of the verb to have?
A.
Good. And what is your subjunctive of the verb to go?
I.
Now we'll come to I in a minute, but that's actually weird because it goes I, allions, like the verb aller. It's like, oh right, fine, aller, it's a normal ER verb, fine, aller, so the subjunctive would be allions, fine.
Okay.
Allier, but then I everywhere else. So I go, you go, he goes. So que j'aille, que tu ailles, qu'il aille, que nous allions, que vous alliez, qu'ils aillent. Would you just do that for me, remembering that nous and vous are going to be different on go?
Que j'aille, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Que j'aille, que tu ailles, que il aille,
qu'il
aille. Whoops. Qu'il aille. Que nous allions, que vous alliez, qu'il aille.
Qu'ils aille, because it's the they form. Qu'ils aille, yeah? Great. So we'll put that to one side for the moment. It was just to show you this issue that will often develop between A and I. So let's just pause for a moment. So just say for me, there is a problem. What's our little expression for there is a problem?
Il y a un problème, non?
Gorgeous. Il y a un problème. Il y a un problème. Yeah.
Un
So
problème.
if you say for me, I don't think there's a problem, which is a form of doubt. So what will il y a become? It'll be
Il y a?
je ne pense pas
Il y a
qu'il y.
pas?
Il y.
Oh no.
So I don't think. Je ne pense pas is like a doubt. I don't
Je ne
think.
pense pas.
What is il y a going to become if it's becoming subjunctive? Il y.
Il y a?
That's it. Yep. Say for me, he is 45. Normally.
I don't know how to say 45, the numbers. Il a 45 ans.
That's
Il a
it.
45
Say for me, I don't think he's 35. Yeah, so basically say, I don't think he's 35. So in other words, instead of now saying il a, subjunctive because of the doubt, I don't think he, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Je ne pense pas qu'il est.
Yeah, that's it. You've got it. So anything you can use have on, you can use the subjunctive on. The subjunctive is the same verb, it's just a different mood. Now, me little brookers, where have we seen have and be elsewhere in French? Where have we seen have
the
and be
auxiliary.
on the auxiliary? So in your Spanish, you have verbs, and you don't even have tener, you have haber, don't you? So for example, if you used have done something, you'd like he hecho, has hecho, you'd use the haber verb in the auxiliary. And again, if you wanted to make that subjunctive, you'd make that haya, hayas, haya. You'd have a subjunctive form of haber. We don't do that in French. We're going to make the have subjunctive for the auxiliary. We don't care whether it's the first verb after the que in its own right, or if it's the first verb after the que as an auxiliary. We don't give a fuck. It's going to be the subjunctive. The same with the verb to be. So how would I say normally Luke has eaten? Just plain and simple. How would you say Luke has eaten?
Luc a mangé?
Nice join. So if for whatever reason I said, it's weird Luke has eaten, which is completely not weird because it happens constantly. But if I said, my goal at the moment is 3,700 calories a day, that's quite a lot, isn't it?
Oof.
I know. It's just my physios are like, Luke, we don't know what your body needs after this drug, so just throw every bit of nutrition at it. Just keep going, So it's really weird. It's like, so my daughter's mother went to a guy in and she sees really good people because she's a phenomenal athlete. So when she says she sees a physio, it'll normally be some professor at UCLA or something like that. And she was saying that this guy was like, oh, Cipro, horrid drug. But he was like, how many did he have? And she was like, 2 weeks worth of it. And he was like, you do see some improvement sometimes after 3 years, after 28. Yeah. And so it's like bigger things like arms and stuff seem to be getting a bit better, but tendony things like hands and stuff, just like the other day I did Phil's Friday class and I was absolutely famished, and I went and got a Chipotle Mexican, and I had to ask the girl, I had half of it and had to go and ask the girl behind the counter to put the foil lid on it. Can you imagine how much of a flid I felt? I was like, I'm really sorry, but do you mind turning this thing down? So I know, oh my god, I just felt so stupid.
It's so frustrating, isn't it?
I know. So it is so frustrating. So it's just like, yeah. So if it was Luke has eaten, the chances are Luke has eaten. so if I said it's weird that Luke has eaten for whatever reason, if you look at it from left to right, il est bizarre que Luke, ding, 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 ding. The first verb that you would chronologically come into contact with after your que would now be the auxiliary verb. Yeah. So instead of it being il est bizarre que Luc a mangé, would you now conjugate that with the subjunctive? And this is known as the subjunctive past. So in other words, in Spanish, you have an imperfect subjunctive. So for example, if you said if he had, so rather than like había, it'd be like hubiera, hubiese. You've got these if forms. You've got these, not just for that. If it was like I was happy that he had, or I wanted him to do this. So anything that would bring up a subjunctive, but your whole shit parade is in the past, as people will be aware, in the Spanish, you would use an imperfect subjunctive. We have our forms of that. That exists in French in archaic literature. Parlas, parlas, it doesn't exist in modern French. So in other words, you don't do that. You would just default to either the normal subjunctive or, depending on the tense, you go to the past subjunctive. And people panic about the past subjunctive. And I'm like, how many verbs do you need to know for the normal subjunctive? All the verbs. How many verbs do you need to know for the past subjunctive? 2 verbs. Because all you're doing is sticking a or soit in the freaking middle. Okay. Yeah. So if you think of the table that you've done up to now with me. So let's say we did eat. So il mange, il mangeait, il mangera, il mangerait. Il est intéressant qu'il mange. You'll notice we're now adding for number 5 the subjunctive. Yeah. Il est intéressant qu'il mange. And our number 6 would be the infinitive, avant de manger. We'll talk more about that in a couple of weeks. Our bottom line, as you know, present, was, will, would, now adding subjunctive. We'll go il a mangé. Put your fingers away, Luke. Il avait mangé. Il aura mangé. Il aurait mangé. Il est intéressant qu'il ait mangé. So this is now one of your standard forms of a verb. But what's gorgeous is you don't need to come up with any different past word. I tell you, he has followed. Il a suivi. Brooklyn goes, oh, it's fabulous that he's followed. Whatever, fabuleux qu'il ait suivi. All right? So a and soit are going to be normal for you. So could you quickly say for me, I left, using partir, which is an être verb of motion. It is an être verb of motion. So how would you say I left in 3 words?
Je suis parti.
Gorgeous bloody mouth. Say for me, my boyfriend is sad that I left. My boyfriend is sad that I left. And so he should be.
Okay. Mon petit copain.
Mon copain,
Mon copain est triste que.
Instead of je suis parti, make that bitch in the middle of subjunctive. That's all it is.
Je sois parti.
That's it. Say for me, I am happy that he left. So instead of je suis content, je suis heureux. Did he hear what you were saying then? Yeah. Yeah.
He likes that one.
Yeah. So instead of, so now say for me, I'm happy that he left. Yeah. Say I'm happy that he left. See if he's listening. So say for me, je suis heureuse or je suis contente, je suis heureuse. Go, whichever one you want. Say je suis ravie. I'm thrilled. Say je suis ravie that he left. So not il est parti. What's going to be I'm thrilled that he left. Je suis ravie.
Je suis ravie qu'il soit parti.
Great. Lovely. Did he clock that? Right. Jumping ahead very quickly. I don't need you to do this right now. If you've got the same person either side of the que, don't do the subjunctive. You would use de and the infinitive. So, for example, if I said, I am happy that you are going to the party. Oh, cool, Brooklyn's going up. I've got someone to talk to. So, je suis content que tu ailles à la fête. I'm happy that you're going to the party. Yeah, okay. I'm happy I am going to the party. We not say je suis content que j'aille à la fête. We say I am happy to go to the party. Je suis content d'aller à la fête. We would use de plus infinitive, which is a much easier formulation. We wouldn't say je suis content que j'aille. Likewise, in the past, you don't have to do this now. If you said I am happy that, Luke went to the party, je suis content ou j'ai que Luke soit allé à la fête. I'm happy that I went to the party. Je suis content or contente for you d'être allé à la fête. We'd say the de, then the infinitive, then the past. You do not need that now. All I would like to do is to bring your attention to your original big girl table, which was want, need, doubt. Shut up, Luke. It wasn't. Present was, will, would, subjunctive, infinitive. present on the auxiliary, was on the auxiliary, would in the auxiliary, subjunctive on the auxiliary, infinitive on the auxiliary. So you're going to start seeing a lot of big girl expressions where instead of saying j'ai mangé, it'd be like avoir mangé, or you know, in other words, the auxiliary in the infinitive form. Yeah, so we don't need that yet. It's just to literally show you that that is there. Yeah, that is there. Yeah.
Okay.
Good. To finish, will you just shout out these words back at me? And I want you to watch the. I'm going to send you some videos on this as well as the podcasts, but I'd like you to listen to any podcast that has got the word subjunctive in it. I'd like you particularly to watch the videos. There's a load of the videos. I want you to find the one in the lineup, which is basically, and I'll pop those underneath this as well, which is basically irregular subjunctives. So copy me on the verb to be able to. Say puis.
Puis.
That sounds nice. So I'm happy Brooklyn can come. Alors moi, je suis content que Brooklyn puisse venir. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So puis, puissions, puissiez, puis. Most of them will do this. Most of them will take your irregular sound and go pa-pum. What is the subjunctive of do? Fasse. Let me hear it.
Fasse.
So Luke wants me to do the work. So not Luc veut que je fais le travail. What's Luke wants me to do the work? Luc veut que je
was it fasse?
That's it. So put it all together for me. Luke wants me to do the work.
Oh, Luc veut que je fasse le travail?
Great. No is sache. You're going to go away and learn these. So if you remember, the last time you had to go away and learn a group of irregulars was the future blocks. Do you remember? Sur, pour, ir, the future blocks. It's the same verbs predominantly, you know, so puis, sache is to know. So say for me, I am happy that, Luke is thrilled, ravi, that I know the answer. And the answer is la réponse, la réponse. So what would be, so Luke is thrilled that I know the answer.
Luc est ravi que je sache le réponse.
La réponse.
La réponse.
If you said, you can also use connaître with answers. So that would be like connaît, connaissant, connaissez, connaissent. So therefore the subjunctive would just normally be connaissent. Some of them are just normal. Most of them are just normal. Most of them are the day form. You don't need to know all of this off by heart. Don't panic. You just need to know what I'm referring to when we get to conjugation, when we get to conversation week. You have 2 more grammar classes, and then it's just, I give you a sentence, you try and translate it, we work on it, we then move on to the next sentence, and you just start feeling organic in French. You have 2 more grammar classes, and neither of those involve verbs. So that's like, I mean, yeah, they involve like a basic verb, but it's not about conjugation. So yeah, so do me one more then, and I want you to go and look at these. So let's say puis, sache, fasse, what are the irregular, que tu saches, que tu fasses, qu'il fasse,
devoir,
doivent. No, that would work in the day form. So doivent, yeah, but good one because that is the future one. So irregular future, saurait, sache, pourrait, puisse, ferait, fasse, ir, aille, vienne. That's normal. That's just the come. So je viens, tu viens, il vient, nous venons, vous venez, ils viennent. Already a little bit odd in the present tense, isn't it? Because it's, again, you've got this pattern of the nous and the vous. So je viens, tu viens, il vient, nous venons, vous venez, ils viennent. So the subjunctive, viennent. But again, that in the subjunctive is irregular because you've got viennent, venions, veniez, viennent. So you've got a stuff going on there. So predominantly though, as long as you are accessing your mainstream normal, eon, ea in your normal, in your er, your a, as long as you're accessing hard, eon, ea, hard, and as long as you've got swat and a, we're good to go. And as long as, if I literally just said to you, that's subjunctive, you'll go, oh, okay. Final comment, there are obviously expressions which create the subjunctive even if you haven't got a first clause. So for example, in order to, I'm going to go to France to speak to whatever, Brooklyn, whatever, you know, je vais aller en France pour, the way that you'd have para in Spanish, yeah, para hacer, you know, or pas. So the point is the same in French. That would be pour. If it were I'm going to go to France or I'm going to go to Spain so that Brooklyn can do some stuff, that would be pour que. And that would then create the subjunctive. There's loads of expressions. I'm going to go so that Brooklyn can do the work. Je vais partir pour que Brooklyn puisse faire le travail, whatever. Pour que, although, bien que, although Brooklyn's English, her French accent is fantastic, bien que Brooklyn soit anglaise, son accent français est formidable. So there's loads of expressions which obviously create the subjunctive, and you completely start finding them comfortable. All I need you to know, I don't need you to book up on those, is I just literally need you to go that if I go subjunctive, that you go, okay, yeah, fine. Yeah, okay. That's literally all we need. We've already got what we need from this. Yeah, it's just for you to know how commonplace it is. Expressions you'll have heard like il faut, it is necessary. Il faut que, there's a form of necessity. That's normally the one teachers give people in exams. It is necessary that you do the work. Il faut que tu fasses le travail. It could just as well have been il est nécessaire que tu fasses le travail. Notice, as we mentioned earlier, if you want to get out of a subjunctive, you can use de and an infinitive. It is necessary to do the work. Il est nécessaire de faire le travail. Or not even with the de. So if you said il faut. So if I looked at you and I said, right, you need to be here at 11 o'clock, guys, and I'm taking you somewhere lovely. Il faut que vous soyez là à 11h. Or if I just look at you and Gaëtan and I just go, right, you need to be here. Il faut être là. We can go straight into an infinitive. So the infinitive is often the solution to not using the subjunctive, which, to be fair, you've seen in Spanish, like, quiero que hagas algo. Quiero hacer algo. Me personally would go to an infinitive. So those are just seeds, just when you play this back to yourself, that you just might go, okay, the infinitive is the enemy of the subjunctive. So I've got the indicative as the opposite of the subjunctive. I've got the infinitive possibly with a de or another preposition as a way out of not using the subjunctive. Very small seeds that are going to grow into big, complicated, big girl things down the line, but just not yet. So you've already got what you need. All I need from you is to make sure that you've got normal, dun, normal, hard, eon, ea, normal, that hurts, Luke, don't do it. Or the irregulars, puis, face, sash, yada, that will be in the videos that I will send you. Plus just anything on your podcast you've gotten that says the word subjunctive in it, you can have a listen to.
Okay, perfect.
Final comment, you're a big girl. So you did last week reflexive pronoun, things like je me suis lavé. So if it were Luke is happy that I got washed, you're obviously going to combine them. So things like Luc est content, Luc est ravi que je me sois lavé. Yeah, don't be afraid of the longer structures, because the longer structures normally are in tenses with an auxiliary. And tenses with an auxiliary mean you are playing with have and be. So before you do any French practice of whatever you do, wife or yourself, just literally sit and run through your, je suis, j'étais, je serai, que je sois, j'ai été, j'avais été, j'aurais été, whatever. J'avais, j'aurais, j'ai eu, j'avais eu. Just make sure you've got all your haves and all your bees in all of those tenses, and then start playing around. Okay. Because 90% of the time, if you're on a verb tense with the auxiliary, you'll solve that panic in your mind. And they feel and sound so much longer, but they're actually easy because all you're doing is playing with have and be. All right? Good. Be gone. Bloody good work. Bloody good work.
Gone. I'm so happy I've got you. Thank you so much.
Oh, bless you. That's the sweetest thing to say. It doesn't feel nice until conversation week. And then you suddenly go, holy shit, it really starts snowballing. Up until now, it just feels like a really nasty slog of learning stuff every time you've got it. Yeah. All I would say is you do not need to have revised this for next time I see you. Again, we're just doing something else. All you need is to know what I'm on about when I say, oh, by the way, subjunctive. Yeah. You might like to say to Mr. Man, using basic, verbs, could you give me, and you can say to him, like, wants, needs, doubt, fit, whatever, tell him not to use any expressions, which I should record you a WhatsApp every week in French and send it you, which is to send to him, which is basically what his homework is to go over. Do you know what I mean?
Give him
I
homework
really
as
should.
well.
But it's like if he basically just gives you stuff like, you know, je veux que tu, whatever, you know, I want you to be there at 4 o'clock. Je veux que tu sois là à 16h. Don't forget the normal verbs though, because this is what happens. People always go like, oh, they get so like soit and a, and I'm like, don't forget normal verbs, you know.
Yeah.
Good. Next week, no verbs. Well done.
Okay.
All right. Well
Thank
done.
you.
You're so on target. You are so on target. Yeah. All right. Oh, bless you. That was before we could click heart on you know, like on messages, is it? That's our old fashioned one. All right. Loads of love.
Bye. Lots of lovely.